I'm grateful for the life and work of Charlie Kirk. Been thinking, as have most of us, about it. And something happened this week, and then something came to mind from more than 60 years ago that I'd like to share today rather than a normal build video. I made a project, but it's inconsequential compared to getting to share something that my mom told me. About 60 years ago, 62 years ago now, I was about 8 months old. And my mom tells the story, and I hope I do it justice here, that the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated, what she remembers is watching it on TV, sitting on the floor, holding me in her arms as an 8-month-old, and just rocking back and forth with a realization which I think she said she had at the time, but definitely came to mean a great deal upon further reflection, that the world had really changed. That, as it turned out, presidents and other officials began to distance themselves more and more from the regular folks. And that seemed to be, and I think was, a tremendous loss of a sense of togetherness, almost literally, physically, a sense of togetherness lost out of necessity, out of an awareness that extra precautions had to be taken. And of course, that was reinforced later with both Martin Luther King Jr. and with Robert F. Kennedy, and in addition to that, with Malcolm X himself. That story came back to me in vivid detail as I was thinking about what this means for our country, that Charlie Kirk was killed out in the open, choosing to have a sense of unity and togetherness, even with people who disagreed with him aggressively, and now aggressively to the point of murder. I'm very grateful that Mom shared that story with me. It's an interesting reality that before I was even conscious in this world, dramatic things happened that changed the world. As a matter of fact, Mom went on to say in a couple of discussions that we had that rather than any kind of demographic of population numbers or birth rates or birth numbers in America, from so-called boomer to Gen X, the generation changed at the moment of Kennedy's assassination, in the sense that we would think differently about the president. We would think differently about personal safety. We would think differently about the mindset of just seemingly everyday normal people walking around beside us and wondering if they had dangerous plans. I'm very glad for that perspective, not to be suspicious of everyone, but to be aware that the culture changed so much that you could almost mark it as a generational shift. And I believe that the same thing is happening now. I could have said that it would be my guess, but I think it's already absolutely confirmed. I just saw a news report that Turning Point USA had hundreds of chapters before, and literally there have already been over 23,000 requests for new chapters and new participation in just a matter of days. I think that can be a tremendous blessing to our country. And regardless if I ever build anything that has any kind of artistic significance or quality or anything like that, what would be so much better and more important is if our country recovers a sense of a belief that we can be a nation that makes a positive difference in the world and a positive difference for individual Americans. I love you, Mom. Thanks for sharing that story with me and for the chance to think about how the way the world works in that context. And Liam and Millie, beautiful grandchildren, I love you. And I hope that because of some possible good that can come from a terrible, terrible crime, you might grow up in a country that actually shows more and more people just how much they matter, how much they're worth, and how much hope there is for them in this life and, by God's mercy, the life to come. I'm blessed and grateful, especially thankful for the life and the work, the ministry, the testimony, the witness, and the ongoing legacy of Charlie Kirk. Now, as projects go, this is kind of an interesting bit of serendipity for which I'm really thankful. People all over the country, it's been obvious people all over the world are taking measures to recognize the value that they place on the life and work of Charlie Kirk. And I had an opportunity to come up with a small little thing that I'm going to do. Thanks to a friend from work. Thank you, Patricia, for noticing that somebody had a curb alert out for a lawn chair that she thought her text to me said, "This has your name written on it." And I'm glad she feels that way, that when she sees an American flag lawn chair, she thinks, yeah, Tim might like that. And yes, I most certainly do. She sent me a text and with a picture and said, this is going to be yours when we get done today. And I thought, well, isn't that nice? How do I break it to her, though, that this doesn't apply to anybody else, but for me personally, I felt like I'm not going to be able to sit on the representation of the American flag. As I say, I don't judge that for anybody else. It's just that I wouldn't personally be comfortable with it. Oh, she's going to think I'm a fuddy-duddy. Oh, I'm so picky or whatever. And when I got back, I finally said, well, I'm just going to say it because it's true. That's just the way it is for me. But then as we started talking, I said, I just realized what I'm going to do with it. I am going to take this chair with me if I go out to a park. I'll have my own chair and I'll have this chair. If I go to a little community concert or if I go out anywhere where I'm relaxing, even around the house, if I go outside to relax, going to have this chair along with the addition of a picture that I went and had blown up today. This is not a fancy project. It's just a little something that I can do where I feel like I'm recognizing the impression, the significance, the importance of a man's life, not just for what he means to me, but for what he means to thousands, millions of people. He's made a difference in their lives. So I don't feel comfortable sitting on an American flag, and I have a feeling that Charlie Kirk wouldn't either, but I decided that I could just have a picture. No political statement, no fancy speeches, certainly no denunciations or calling anybody to account, or just to say it's nice to remember somebody that I think has made such a positive mark on the world. I'm thankful for the chance to have all the days that I've had, literally twice as many days in my life as at 62 as Charlie Cook at 31, almost 32. I'm grateful for those days and want to continue to try to make the right kind of good use of the days that I'm still given. There is a wonderful, deeply poetic verse of Scripture, Psalm 90:12. Lord, teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And I've been reminded this week of how precious each and every day I'm given is. I hope you've had a sense of that too. I'm blessed and grateful with all those days, for all those days, in all those days. Thanks for watching.